What's up, John? Welcome back to the show, man. A little technical difficulties, but how you doing this morning?
Good, man. I appreciate you having me on. Oh, did we freeze up again?
Way.
You still there?
No. Did we lose it again?
I think we're in and out a little bit, but I think we're okay. Are you there?
Maybe now we're good. Maybe I don't know what you heard on mine. I could re-kick off the intro if that worked for you.
Let's try it one more time. If it don't work, it's maybe not meant to be today.
All right, Johnny, what's going on, my man? Welcome back to the podcast. How you doing this morning?
Good, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you bearing with us on some technical difficulties. Haven't had this before, but anyway, getting through it. Dude, you were on the show that we used to do, and we've been friends for a while now, but I feel like so much has changed in what both of us have been doing. But could you catch us up on what's changed in your life? Maybe what's stayed the same, but what's changed, what's going on with the business, and what's your day-to-day in the businesses?
Yeah, so I think the last time we talked, I've been on a mission for probably, I want to say 10, 12 years now. My wife and I have been on a similar mission. We wanted to reach financial freedom so that we could travel the world. And funny enough, the money came first. It wasn't a money thing holding us back. We were probably in that position a while ago, but something that you don't think about is when you're building all these income streams and you're building all this money, you're building businesses along with them. And those businesses, they need your attention, right? Oftentimes we're still working on the business, working in the business, not working on the business. So for a couple years, towards the last couple of years before we've been on the road traveling now for 8 months, it was trying to figure out how to put in systems and processes so that those businesses could continue to run and generate income even if we weren't there. And so that took some restructuring, it took some figuring out, it took some cutting away some businesses. But about 8 months ago, we signed our daughter up for a school called Boundless Life, and it allowed her to just travel from country to country, going to different schools. And then, so we hit that off about 8 months ago, and we're still in Greece right now.
All right, a lot of places we could go there, but we're going to be quick this episode because we got to keep it short and sweet. So, selfishly, I'm maybe in a similar place to you. My business grew that you were in a little while ago. My business changed, and it's grown more than I expected. And what I'm in the process of doing right now is figuring out really replacing myself and adding better systems and people into the business. And just for the audience and context, the main business used to be around just real estate, which has been sort of automated and I've been removed from. But this is around the bookkeeping business for the real estate investors. So I'm curious for you, like, how did you go about thinking of it from the beginning? Was it like, all right, we need an ops manager, we need an ops person, or we're going to bring in EOS, or, I'm going to hire a bunch of lower level people, they're all going to pick up the slack. Like, how did you start to think about it, and then sort of how did it develop?
All right, yeah, so fun fact, I'm not a huge fan of employees. I know that for a lot of people, there's no escaping it, but I would rather give up equity and get a partner that cares about the business just as much as me, that I can lean on in the times that I'm missing or in the times that I'm busy. And so all of my successful endeavors right now are partnerships, even the one with YouTube, with my wife, with our 1 million subscribers. My wife is our partner. Now, we do have some subcontractors and some editors and things like that, but employees for me, they exist. The really good ones exist, but I want somebody that's just as passionate about the business as I am. And so again, when I'm stressed out or when I'm unavailable or traveling, I would like to leave that in the hands of someone who cares just as much as me. And that's always been a struggle for me to find. Maybe that just doesn't exist in the employee role. Maybe it does. I just haven't been lucky enough to find it. Also, most of my businesses exist in West Virginia, where the hiring pool is rather small and limited because we can't keep young people around. So for me, I do not mind giving up equity if I get my time back. And then more importantly than my time, I keep my businesses and my business partners and myself at a high standard. And so somebody coming in, doing my job or doing a job for me has to maintain that standard, or else I'm not going to feel comfortable with it. And that's where the equity partnership comes into play with good partners. Now, you can still get bad partners. So just like bad employees, you can get bad partners. So I'm not saying it's a perfect scenario. But again, I would rather give up equity than go through high turnover employees trying to find that diamond in the rough that will care about the business just as much as I do.
So how do you think about then finding partners? Because we've had a lot of people on the show that they just have a very different view. They've actually been burned by partners and they're skeptical of partners, so they don't want to have partnerships going forward. I'd say you're definitely in a different like thought camp here, but clearly it's working for you. So, like, let's say again, selfishly, if, it might help other people too. Like for my business, okay, if I'm thinking about for the next 6 months, I'm about to be removing myself from the business and putting, like other people in place. How would you recommend I go about finding a partner then to help not control the business, but help run the business and manage things so that, I am removed from the parts of it that take up my time?
So this is like a little bit like private money lending for me. Private money lending doesn't advertise, and I don't think good partners do either. I think that I don't think you want to go hunting for a good partner. I would I wouldn't advertise for one is basically what I'm saying. I wouldn't say, hey, I'm looking for a partner, because you're going to get anybody who just may want it for the money. I want somebody to reach out to me, or I want to I'm watching. Everybody I work with or work around me are people in my network. I can, within a couple of months, maybe with under a month, I can maybe this is a skill set of mine, but I can say, oh man, those people are diligent, they're on time, they care deeply, and they would make an excellent partner. In fact, the FI couple, Josh and Allie, I reached out to them on our online coaching community to be partners with us, because I knew that when I created my coaching community, I didn't want it to feel too guru-ish. And no offense to others out there, but I didn't want to preach the Ferraris and the Lambos and the yachts. That wasn't me. It's never been me. The reason I want money is so that I can go wherever I want with my family, whenever I want, and enjoy my time. And I just want to completely own my time. And so I wanted someone to complement that. And if you follow Josh and Allie, the FI couple, you'll see they fit that bill, right? They have a modest portfolio that they use for cash flow to fund their lifestyle. They got a newborn baby girl, and they traveled, and now they're traveling a little bit more. That's exactly the type of audience I wanted to find. But I reached out to them because I knew they fit the bill. I knew they continuously posted. I knew they were really, really diligent. I was just watching from afar for a little while and be like, wow, those people are really on top of it, and they would make good partnerships. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be good partners just because they work hard or they're diligent. So you have to have several meetings and several follow-ups and almost do a trial period together and see if you work well together. It's always like, I always compare it to like the roommate phase, right? So like everybody's friends in high school, and then when you move in as college roommates, usually those friendships don't last, because now you realize what a pet peeve is. And now you realize, oh, Joe's really cool, but Joe never does his damn dishes, and I can't stand that, right? And so you got to almost have that roommate period before you get on paper, or like the dating period before you get married, right? And so that's a partnership for me, is I'm going to go through a trial period of maybe you don't come as an equity partner yet, but maybe I bring you in as a subcontractor at 1099, see how well you do the jobs that I'm going to need while I'm gone, see how proactive you are. So that's the other thing too. I don't want to just hire somebody for the position. I need somebody who wants to grow that position and grow that company and make it even more efficient than I've even thought of. And if you're not bringing me ideas, if you're not trying new things, then I can just hire anybody for that. I want to hire somebody who wants to grow this, or partner with somebody that wants to grow this and think of things that I haven't thought of. Because I always think about partnerships should always equal 1 + 1 should equal 3, not 2. You can hire to get a +1, but I want to partner with somebody that's going to make 1 + 1 = 3. I know the math doesn't work out there, but hopefully you're following me a little bit. Like 1 + 1, I'm not splitting equity for 1 + 1, but I'll split equity if we can make 1 + 1 = 3 or more. Like that makes sense to me.
So what were some things that you did with Josh and Allie to feel things out and have that like dating roommate period to know that it was right? Like, how did you go about approaching them, and also how did you make it so that they were interested or like motivated to want to do this with you? Clearly you saw a benefit in working with them, but like so I guess two-part question. What was your approach, and then also what made it valuable for them on the other side of it?
Well, probably did something that I wouldn't advise today, but I'm basically out through Instagram DM, and that's fine to start that way. So Instagram DM or a call or whatever. We probably should have had more meetings. I think we all started, this is 3-4 years ago. We didn't know what we didn't know. And everything's going great, by the way. We have no problems. We're all good. We're all happy. We're fine with our split. But right off the bat, I knew we had something good. I knew that what this community could be. But Fun fact about me, I don't love marketing. I don't like continuously making content. If you ever see me marketing on the Frugal Investor, that's hard for me to do. I don't speak well to the camera when I'm trying to pitch something. I can talk just fine on a podcast. I know what I'm talking about. I do know my stuff. I do very good when I teach classes, but making content, I'm a perfectionist. So making content is really hard for me. And I knew very early on into building the community that the marketing problem was going to be an issue for me and being consistent with the content. I saw that Josh and Allie were already doing that, but they did not have a community yet themselves. And with how they were going about it and how they were pitching it kind of fit like my vision for More Than Money in the very beginning. And so it was it kind of made sense as a puzzle piece, but right off the bat, we offered up 50%. That was a lot. Even they were like, whoa, are you sure? But I just was like, yes, I'm confident in this. I think if this works, it'll go far, but I need you guys to come all in right off the bat with me and start helping me market this thing, because I'm not going to be able to grow my audience like you guys do. I mean, since then, they've grown the audience by another 100 and some thousand, while I think I've only grown mine by another 20, 30,000, right? And so I guess my idea of that kind of worked, but they're just great people. They're good people. But if I had to do it over again, I probably would have reached out before offering any share or split, said, hey, do you guys want to be an affiliate of this? Would you guys like to be involved with this in some way, shape, or form? See how well they pitch it. See how they pitched it. See if they liked it, right? Like, let's not just be selfish here. Let's also be like, do you like this? Do you like the idea of this? And then probably entered into a more formal partnership. But fun fact, we also all trusted each other for the first year where they weren't on paper. We just all said we were partners, and now we all are. We're legitimized. But I probably would have started it more in like a subcontractor phase. And that's nothing against Josh or Allie. I would advise them the same way if they invited us on to any future endeavors, test it out a little bit. But what I'm looking for, like to answer your question, what I'm looking for is I'm not looking for you to copy what I do. I'm looking for you to take what I do and make it better. Be proactive. Hey, you go by Jonathan, right? Or do you, Jonathan? Which either. So I would say if I partnered with you, John, here, I'll give an example of anybody out there listening, because this sounds like a phenomenal opportunity. Jonathan's already built it up. He's already got it going. He's obviously looking to buy his time back. If I was interested in what Jonathan was doing, I would say, hey, Jonathan, this is my skill set, and this is where I think I can help you. Give me 3 months, and you don't pay me $1. You don't pay me a single dollar. If I increase sales and or reduce your time in this business with my systems and processes, consider me for an equity split. Does that sound fair? Sounds fair. Fun fact, that's how I got in with my partnership at A&M Investments with my partner, Steve and Andrew. I came in there, I didn't have real estate experience, but I knew how to run a business. They had the real estate experience, but they didn't really have the business side down. I came in there, long story short, I said, guys, I will come in for a whole year. I'll either make room for you guys to pay me back for this entire year on a set salary. I won't take $1 for the whole year, and I'll work Monday through Friday, no weekends, but I'll work Monday through Friday every day for the first year. If I make enough room for this company on the back end to pay me back and make the business better, then you pay me as a debt in the year 2. If not, we shake hands and let it go, and I'll work a whole year for free.
Wow.
8 years later, we flipped 300 houses.
That's so interesting. I did not know that's how that started. I don't even know if we talked about it on the first show. Man, that's so interesting. So I guess what I'm hearing is you're looking for things that are it's complementary, but that can start out in small doses and grow. It doesn't have to be getting married on day one. But if someone approaches me and say, "Hey, John, you're good at sales and marketing, and you've built something, but I can come in and do operations, and I can sort of help run this when you're not involved. Let's just start on a small basis. Let's start for a quarter, and it could be maybe like a profit model or a no payment model, just to see if we like working with each other, and go from there. And if we do, we can progress it. If not, then not. But that's a way that you think you can kind of dip a toe in the water with a partnership instead of, hey, day one, we're 50-50. Let's get everything signed.
I don't advise that. Yep. But like sometimes I went off of, also keep in mind that my coaching community, it does make money and there is money involved, and I'm always honest about that, but I also do it for my passion project. This was later in my career where if More Than Money did not work out, I would have been okay, but I enjoy teaching. I thoroughly enjoy it. I actually started, my idea for More Than Money was because I was doing individual mentorship, but I could not, my schedule was full of jumping on the phone call. And I was like, I could help more people at the same time for less money if I actually started a community. I was a little anti-community because it felt like the community course guru thing was kind of like, I don't know. I didn't like the direction it was going in. I didn't like the type of people that were doing it. But I was like, you know what? I could do it. I could do it legitimately. I could do it personally or personably. And I can give real value here because I'm actually really doing it. Some of these people just did one wholesale and they start a whole course, right? I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but this was running rampant. So anyway, that's kind of why we did it. But yeah, I just, another thing too is when you're doing partnerships, when it's time for the paperwork, and this is me now, this is not how I always started. This is kind of like, do as I say, not as I did. But fill out a partnership agreement as if you're getting divorced, not if you're getting married. The problem with most partnerships is they start off and everybody's happy because they see the future and they see the money and they see what could be and everybody's excited, like a marriage, right? Well, what happens 3 months down the road when, like the example I gave earlier, when Joe's not doing the dishes, right? So in my partnership agreements going forward, if I were to start a new one, I'm going to have not only what our roles are, but what's the penalty if you don't do this? So an example of this would be like, all right, I partner with Jonathan, I'm the back end of thing, and Jonathan, you're the front end, and we agree that you're to make 3 Instagram reels a week advertising the company to grow it. That's great. Well, that's what we've agreed to. Well, what we forget about here is if we're 50-50 partners and you don't do that, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. You still get 50% of the profit. Unless inside the operating agreement, I say, for every reel you don't make, I get 2% equity share. I get another 2% equity share. Now that's really steep. That's a really steep penalty, but you get where I'm going with this. I could charge you $500. I could say that your margins for the month, if we normally split profit at the end of the month at 50-50, you didn't make any reels that month, then we're splitting at 80-20 my way. You got to have penalties in place. You got to have what ifs in place. You got to what if somebody gets sick for a month? Is the other partner supposed to just pick up all of the work, all of the slack, and only still get 50%? Maybe that's the way you operate. But I don't. I want it. Here's one more tip. I will always be nice and Jonathan. If we were partners and you got legitimately sick for a month, I wouldn't take any of your equity share. I would pick up the slack just as I expect you to do for me. But let's say that I got a hint of you just being lazy. We're on month 3 of you being sick or just whatever, but I really see that you're out golfing, all right? In person, I will be nice, but on paper, I want the permission to be an asshole. So now we're on month 2. I see you're out golfing. You're not making reels because you say you're sick. Well, now month 2, the paperwork says, actually, I can take 80% of the profit, and I will enforce that. But I just want the paper to allow me to be an a-hole, while really, in real life, I'm actually a very understanding person.
Learn this from anyone? Like, I guess anyone could just have an idea about a contract or now ask ChatGPT, like, hey, what clauses should I have in my contract? Was all this sort of learned from trial and error with you, or did you have a lawyer consult you or give you ideas, or did you have some really bad partnerships? Like, these are great ideas. I've never really heard anyone, like, be as tactical. And again, I think some of these are sort of like, not the ones you'd actually do. They might be like a little bit just like storified for this, but how did you come to these or like get this experience or learn this stuff?
Yeah, so my first partnership, A&M Investments, was my first real partnership where we operated on equity share, and this was through trial and error. These are things that like, we didn't have any operating agreement at all. Then we had a very basic operating agreement. And I was always like, well, this kind of doesn't make any sense to me because this just says what we're supposed to do, but there's no, I don't want to call it punishment. We're grown adults here, but there's no recourse for if those people don't do what they say they're going to do. So then what's the point other than just saying, hey, you said you would? Well, that's great and all, but I'm always going to care about the business. So whether I have 2 partners, 15 partners, 30 partners, my investors are going to get paid back. My investors are going to get their updates. Even if it's not my lane, all these things are going to happen. So I kind of zoomed out one time and I was like, Steve and Andrew are my partners at A&M. I zoomed out one time. I was like, if Andrew and Steve woke up tomorrow and said, I'm not doing nothing else. I'm not doing anything at all this month. Well, I'm not going to join them in that mindset because I feel responsible for, I'm not saying Steve or Andrew would do this. I'm just saying this is possible. I got to carry 100% of the load, and all I have is a piece of paper to reference to say, well, you said you do these things. well, that's not good enough. I need to go, okay, y'all don't have to do anything for the month. I get 100% equity then. Any flips we sell, I get 100% of the profit because you guys aren't answering your emails, you're not responding to your texts. You can have communication in your operating agreement, which I highly recommend. I'm a high-level communicator. So if you partner with me, your emails, text, anytime your smoke signal will get answered in less than 2 hours, but definitely in under 24 hours. And I'll sign a contract where I'll pay you $5,000 for every hour I go over not answering you. Will you do the same?
These are difficult things. I guess I'm just like, how do you know what's too much or not enough? Or is it just like, do you keep adding to it? Or is it situationally? Or like, you think through all these potential worst cases?
Oh, no, you'll never think through all of them. You'll never think through all of them. That's what's nice about an operating agreement can be updated by the hour, right? Like you literally. So if something becomes a problem once, usually that doesn't go in the operating agreement. But if it repeats itself, just like you know how to build systems and processes, anytime I always tell the lockbox story. All right, how many times did I forget the keys to my rentals and go all the way over and check on my rentals before I finally put the lockbox on the freaking outside of the rentals? Right. So if you do it, if it happens to you more than once, if it causes you pain more than once, then normally you can build a system or process behind it, so that pain doesn't happen again, right? So the same thing with your operating agreement. If so-and-so makes you upset once, first you need to bring it to their attention as soon as possible. Don't let it fester. That's the worst thing you can do. So you could say, let's say we were partners and I did not answer your email in 24 hours, and that really spiked your anxiety and really upset you and maybe even cost us some money. You would say, hey, John, I know it wasn't intentional. You were probably busy, but I need to let you know from my point of view that normally I expect emails to be answered in under 24 hours, but if not, even just a follow-up via text, but that also costs us some money. I don't expect anything from this the first time. I need you to tell me what is an acceptable amount of time between the time I email you or a client emails you and the time that you answer. What do you think is acceptable? Then let me answer, and then go back and forth until you come to a happy medium, and then that goes in the contract. Not only does that go in the contract, you get to say at this point, John, you agreed that 24 hours was plenty of time. How much do you think it should penalize you if you don't? What do you think is a reasonable penalty for that? If I'm not good at being on time, might say 0 because I don't want to be held responsible. But then guess what? I'm already seeing this partnership falter. You see what I'm saying?
That would still be in the early phase where it's like you haven't done too much together. That, like, again, communication is so important in business. If someone is lapsing on this, like in the first few weeks or months, it would be something that could be like a deal breaker if then they don't want to put it into the operating agreement. But I guess, like, taking it back to what you said before, it's about starting small, building from there, and not having like these huge preconceived sort of expectations that then this would be a major problem. But if it was still early on and it was like the beginning of something, it wouldn't be that big of a problem if you couldn't come to an agreement. Obviously, you'd hope you could, but if not, it's a red flag. Yeah,
so this is like, it's almost like the prenup, but it takes the awkwardness out of it because it's not an actual marriage. But it's very similar. A partnership is very similar to a marriage in many ways, right? And so, but the prenup, because we're doing business here, it's not awkward for me to say prenup. So I'm going to say, hey, a prenup, aka our operating agreement, is going to say all the things that I expect, all of my pet peeves. We're going to get all these out on the table. I just want you to know that if you do not answer emails or texts in a timely manner, you won't like working with me. I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you. If you are late to meetings, with our investors, you will read it on my face in a matter of seconds, and it will not be a pleasant experience for either of us. I can understand if that does not bother you as much, but please do not partner with me out of respect for both of us, okay? Because I don't want this to ruin a friendship. I don't want this to ruin like the camaraderie that we have. But if we're talking about money here and feeding my family and being respectful of our clients, these are things that I will not tolerate. If you accept those things, cool, we can move forward with penalties in place for if either of us break those things. And then if not, if you cannot respect those things, then we just won't be partners, and no harm, no foul. I actually appreciate you being honest with me so we don't move forward. No harm, no foul. So, but I'm telling, like, if I could stress this so much with people with partnerships, especially family member partnerships, be very upfront and honest in the very early stages, in the beginning, in the first few meetings. Also, I'm just watching. Did you show up to our first meeting? If we're even considering partnerships, did you show up to our coffee meeting 15 minutes late without even a text message? Did you not respond to my email? Did you have to cancel a couple times in a row? Like all these things I'm watching, and I'm already probably, like I'm gonna be honest, like if you're more than 5 minutes late to our first meeting, actually if you're later than 5 minutes early, I might be out. And that's just, look, but I do that for respect for both of us. Because Jonathan, I don't want you to have to deal with my anxiety for the next year. If I just know you're a notoriously late person, I'm not going to coax you into a partnership with me, no matter how much money, if I'm just going to be driving myself nuts and driving you nuts based on things that I can't deal with, and vice versa.
Yeah, 100%. I know we're almost at time here, John.
Okay. I'm okay right now.
If you have a few more, let me know.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so that's really good. I want to change gears just a little bit here. Like, for your role in the business, how have you handled things from distance? So you're out of the country traveling. I am as well. You know, and we all have different systems and things. When you're out of the country, are you still working a normal schedule, or is it sort of like a lower hour schedule, or is this just where you are more like graded against your partnership of just doing certain things? If it's my job is this. If I just get that done, it doesn't matter how many hours I work. I guess I'm just curious, like the ops of, traveling, how you do it, or then if there are any things that you like ensure that you make sure you bring to the table so that there are no issues with the partnership or the business.
Yeah. So I always like to say, like, if you do what you say you're going to do for long enough, eventually you'll be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. All right, within reason. So my partners, I've established this with all of my partnerships, with anybody who works with me. If I say I'm going to do it, if you put it in my lane, it's done. You don't have to remind me. You don't have to follow up. You don't have to text me. You don't have to remind me. No, just know that it is done, and not only that, but it's audited. Okay? So I'm not saying that I don't ever make mistakes, but I have systems and fail-safes in place to check my mistakes, okay? People oftentimes think that I'm like pounding my chest or being a perfect, or saying that I'm perfect when I say I don't make mistakes. No, I know I'm ADHD. Actually, I make a lot of mistakes, but I built systems and processes behind myself to double check my mistakes. So before I send an email, I rescan it. Before I send out numbers, I recalculate them. Like I'm always double checking myself, or I have people behind me or in place to double check. So how I've set up where I'm at is that my partners know that I'm able to raise money. I'm really good at raising money. They also know that I will track every dollar down to the decimal point and make sure our books balance at the end of every single month. Everything reconciles. If not, I won't sleep at night. All right? So my partners, if they don't want to, I'm sure they do, but if they didn't want to, they don't have to log into the bank account. I've built this trust. I've built these things with them, so they know that, hey, the numbers are right, the investors are paid off in time, everybody's getting their monthly interest, all of our bills are paid, all of our contractors are paid, and anytime we buy a new house, John will find funding for that in 48 to 72 hours. So for that, I don't have a third of the company like I used to, but I'm paid well to work wherever I want in whatever time zone I want, as long as my things are done. And so that's what I've worked out for myself. And so now I'm basically the CFO for the company. I was CEO before I left, but this is like getting back to what I was talking about with you earlier. It's like sometimes you have to give up roles, money, and equity sometimes in order to buy that time back. And I will do that 10 times out of 10 with the right people. Like if I don't need another $300,000 a year. What I need is the company that is there to exist and run efficiently if I'm not. That's what I need. Can you provide that? Then you keep the $300K.
Makes total sense. I'm just now personally curious, what is your day-to-day the last year that you've been traveling? And maybe, I don't remember if it was just before we hit record, but if you could just sort of recap for the audience where you've been the last few months. But then I'm curious also, like, what your day-to-day has been, if it's been normal 40-hour work week, you don't think about hours, or something different.
Yeah, so that's another thing I like to say. So real quick, to answer your first question, we left, I believe it was June or July. I can't remember, late June or early July. I'd have to ask my wife, but we went to Portugal for a month. Then from Portugal, we went to Bali for 3 months. Then during Bali, we went to Borneo for a couple weeks for a break from Bali, from Indonesia. And then from there, we went to Australia for 2 weeks, then from Australia to New Zealand for a month, and then from New Zealand we went to Greece here in Syros, Greece for a month and a half, then to Egypt for 2 weeks. Now we're back in Syros for another month and a half. We're leaving here next week for London for a week, and then back to the United States. I think I got that right. Okay, so we've been all over the place for the last 8.5-ish months, I want to say. And my schedule is based on different time zones, different things I agree to, like podcasts with Jonathan here. But I work all over the place. It's something I think that a lot of entrepreneurs lie to themselves of like, one day I'm going to build this thing and I'm going to have automation take over from me, and then I'm just going to sit on the beach and drink cocktails. Well, you're lying to yourself, because there is a small percentage of people that can do this, but it's very small. And keep in mind, I'm around a lot of these people. The type of person that builds a multi-million-dollar business, multi-million dollars in passive income, multi-million-dollar net worth, is not the type of person to ever sit on the beach. You're lying to you. You're not that. That's not who you are. Now, I'm not saying you can't retrain yourself and calm yourself down in your older years like I'm doing now, but there is no off switch. I'm sorry, I don't want to break your heart here, but there is no off switch for people like us, right? The reason why we're at where we're at is because we were always on, or on a majority of the time. Our brains don't stop moving. That without a lot of probably therapy, a lot of breath work and yoga and meditation, and even then you're probably still not going to be perfect at it. You can get better at it. I'm getting older, so I'm getting better. I say no to a lot more things now than I used to, but I'm still involved in more things than I should be. I still do things for less money than I probably should, and I will always be the type of person that's working on something or building something. I tried when I was 30 to take an early retirement. I had sold my moving company. My wife was making good money. We had a little bit of money in the bank. And I tried to do an early retirement. I was miserable. I was beachfront in Maui. Our apartment was paid for because my wife was a travel nurse. And I'd never been more depressed in my entire life because I lost all sense of purpose. So the type of person that's listening to this podcast even, your brain's probably never going to give you that break that you're dreaming of, that you're daydreaming of. But I will say that you'll get more of that, and you'll be able to afford more of that. But my days are pretty much, I try to do my wife and daughter first. So my wife and daughter come first for whatever's scheduled that day. So I always take my daughter to school. I always try to pick her up from school. I'm doing that at least 98% of the time. And then spending time with her because they grow up fast. And then travel wherever we're going, and then from there, work squeezes its way in whenever I have downtime. I like to work.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. That's awesome to hear. And so many good points for people that are thinking they'll be happy when, or they could just sit on a beach. Doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, the if only is a fallacy. If only I had, if only I made, if only I lived wherever. It's all a fallacy. I promise you that.
A couple quick ones just before we get you out of here. You mentioned the homeschooling program your daughter's in. Could you just talk about that a little more? Like, homeschooling is something that I've been more curious about also. Like, I like the lifestyle of traveling, and also there's, to me, a lot of negatives of some traditional schooling. Could you just talk about that, what it is, how it works?
Yes, if you want to look it up, it's called Boundless Life. I would appreciate if you use the Schoeller family. If you ever sign up, just tell them that we sent you. But it's a program that was started, I want to say, about 2 years ago. So for what world schooling used to be was you would take your child and you would put them in a local school wherever you're going. Of course, this is kind of cool, but also has its downside, from language barriers to how do you enroll if you're traveling in the middle of the year. And then homeschooling was the other way to do it. You would travel while you homeschooled. Well, like my wife and I, we just don't have the patience to homeschool as much as we probably should. So Boundless Life kind of figured out this. It's a startup. Again, it's only a couple years old, but they're growing quickly. In fact, most of these places are already sold out. But basically, you sign up for a place for 3 months at a time, and they have their own school in those locations. So my daughter right now is at a Boundless school here in Syros, Greece, with about, I want to say about 35 other kids from age anywhere from 1 all the way up to, I believe they stop at 14. So I think they stop right around 9th grade or high school level. And they're working on developing that. But anyway, you go to these places for 3 months at a time, and you could repeat 3 months in the same place for 9 months, or you can do like a trailblazer program where you go this one was 3 months Bali, 3 months Syros, Greece, and then the next 3 months is Montenegro. But they have places in Spain. They just opened a place, I believe, in South America, in Uruguay. So they just opened a place there. They're opening a place in Japan. Where else? Portugal, which we went for the summer school program. So basically you just pick, and you can only go for a month at a time if you just want a short break, or 3 months or 9 months and do the whole school year. But it's just a really cool, flexible program if you want to do work, if you want to work on the go and have your kid attend different school in different countries. Also, they set up what's called a boundless hub in each location, which is a work spot for the parents. So that's where all the parents go, and they have good internet. They have a place for you to work, a coffee, a kitchen place set up, just a common area. And then also they provide the housing as well if you want it.
That's wild. I'm sure there's different pricing. What could you give like a ballpark on how pricing works?
Yeah, so it's going to depend on the age of your kid. If you're going to do 1 month, 3 months, or 9 months. If you're going to want the housing, and then how many excursions you want to do, because they also host excursions or trips inside of the trip. So you could spend anywhere, I think, from maybe $5,000 to $10,000 if you're just going to do like a month trip, all the way up to $20,000 to $30,000, depending on if you're going to do 3 months. I think 9 months would probably even get pricier than that. We never did the 9. We've been doing 3 at a time. And then, of course, do you need a 1-bedroom apartment, or do you need a 3-bedroom with a nice balcony and waterfront? So it's like anything else in life. It has its price ranges.
I gotcha. All right. Last thing. I know. You're going to be traveling coming up. So also, a part 2 might have to happen later on. But I feel like there's a few things we could talk about. We haven't. Just curious question again regarding to travel. I get asked all the time. I haven't even found a great solution for it myself, which is like personal health insurance. The way I do it now is I have personal health insurance here in Medellin, and then I have like a global policy for when I'm in the U.S., and some of it overlaps with when I'm in Colombia as well. It's not that expensive, but also like it's a reimbursement policy, which I can't stand. So, just curious how you do it.
Don't do what I do, everybody, okay? My wife, our daughter's insured because she was adopted through the state. But my wife and I have had no insurance for almost 7 years, and we've saved about $150,000.
Oh, man.
It can be dangerous, but we are very cash heavy in case something happened. We're very confident that we could afford it. It would suck, but we could pay for it. Third, we're usually out of the States, and in most other countries, it's very, very... I just had my teeth cleaned in Bali at a better establishment than I've ever had my teeth cleaned in anywhere in the United States, and it cost me $25, and the dentist... It not only evaluated me, but did the cleaning himself. So healthcare outside the U.S. is very affordable for most instances, and oftentimes better, believe it or not, depending on where you're at. But my plan with this is if we do establish ourselves back in the United States, I have now saved enough money in cash to invest that money into a private money deal at 12 to 18% and have our health care fully covered by the private money deal for the amount of money I save. So health insurance for me going forward is on the house if and when I get it.
I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
No, I don't know. This is...
Because the reason I said I've had some medical stuff here in Colombia, and it's super inexpensive.
Yeah.
Cheap to pay out of pocket. Like I had a cavity filled. It was amazing. Similar experience to you. It was. It's
crazy. It's crazy, right?
Like that would have been probably $300 or $400 in the U.S. But again, it's like I don't know. Maybe I get like the thing that I worry about is like the big things. Like let's say whatever, like something really bad happened. But I don't know. Maybe I look into it more, and there probably are a lot of like subsidized health insurance programs in different countries where you don't even I don't know, but there's one more option where you could just get what's called catastrophic insurance, where it only covers the worst of the worst, and I think it's like 3 months or 6 months installments, but it doesn't cover anything else. Like it only covers, it's like an insurance policy for if the worst of the worst happens. That's not too bad to look into if you're we still don't even have that. Some of this was just like every time December rolled around for open enrollment, we're traveling. Like I don't think we've been home in December in the last like 4 or 5 years. And so some of it's just been that. Some of it was like, oh, we'll definitely do it next year because we've saved enough now. But I think this year we'll roll about $150,000 in premium savings over the last give or 7 or 8 years that we have not had insurance. Because the last time we had it, my wife had Cobra
from when she stopped being a travel nurse. Then she went to school for nurse anesthetist. We lost it after 6 months, I believe, as long as Cobra covered us. And then we have not re-enrolled since. And the premium on that's like, the premium I think would have been like close to 24 or 25,000 because of our income. And that's for a decent coverage policy. That's not even for whatever gold tier is. So some of it's out of principle for me. I hate the system. I hate how you pay into it. I hate if you're healthy, you don't get any money back. But that's most insurance. And then some of it was just a little bit I don't gamble a lot in my life, and you could argue this is a big gamble, but we've successfully done it so far.
Jon, you the man. I would love to do a part 2 at some point. Just you got so much cool stuff going on. You have a big business, more than you even. You're modest, but you have a huge business relative to most people, and you're doing it in such a cool way, and traveling and seeing the country and doing a lot of things that I think people aspire to do. So, Jon, before we get you out of here, what is best way for people to get in touch, talk about your community, those sorts of things, and we'll link all that, and then maybe do a part 2 later on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So you can find me on Instagram, The Frugal Investor. Long story to that, but I am still frugal to this day, but The Frugal Investor. And then, our community, along with the FI couple, is called More Than Money. Something we created because while money is a tool and obviously a focus of ours, and we don't hate money, we know we need it, we know we utilize it, it's not the end goal for us. What money does for us is the end goal, and that's kind of our approach and the reason we do things and how we teach it. So if that interests anybody, we'd love to teach you in all things real estate. We've tried, I have personally, I don't want to say I've tried every strategy because I feel like we make up a new strategy every week in real estate, but I've done the top 10 for sure. All of them have their strong suits and their weak suits, but my primary focus now is private money lending, and house flipping still. And we teach all about that in the community. If you're interested, reach out. I'd love to have you. But other than that, make sure you're following Jonathan. If anybody has their ears perked up and you're looking for an opportunity, Jonathan seems to be doing a great job. I've never vetted him personally as far as a business partnership, but it sounds like he's open to someone to help him out, and that's all I was looking for when I was started. So I'm not telling if you're not a good person, if you're not going to be on time, if you're not going to help him with his business, don't waste his time. But if you think you're that person, sounds like an opportunity.
Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate the insights. The partnership stuff is super interesting. I feel like you could do a whole training just on that. Maybe that's another thing.
I do sometimes. Actually, before I got more into, I was Jon Schoeller Consulting was my primary business. Actually, I went into A&M to help consult them before we ended up doing partnership and all the flipping. But I did do some ancillary coaching and consulting outside of that, where I do coach businesses on that, because I think a lot of people are stuck in bad partnerships and they don't know how to get out of it. And they don't care how much money they're making because they're miserable. And it's like, you got to fix the core of this problem. If you're not sleeping at night, the money is not worth it. I cannot say that many times. Okay, it's definitely not passive. So all you landlords out there say you're making mailbox money, but you're staying up at night because you're dealing with evictions and that's not passive. Second, if you're in a partnership and making great money, the money don't matter if you can't sleep.
So true. Jon, a lot of good clips from this episode. Just want to say thank you again, man. You crushed it. Enjoy the rest of your travels, and you're heading back to the States kind of the same time around.
Yeah, a couple more weeks. It's crazy.
It is.
Yep.
Man. We're gonna get
maybe we'll link up, man. But we'll do a part 2. Good luck with your travels. Appreciate you having me on. Thanks everybody for listening, and I wish everybody the best of luck.
Thanks, Johnny. Talk to you.
Yeah. See you later.